So UFC Fight Night, Nicolau versus Perez takes place in the main event this weekend. And I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. This is going to be a raw and real RNC rant. So you're telling me after an historic event like UFC 300, Dana and the matchmakers had the bright idea of producing this absolute shit card after an historic event like UFC 300. I mean, we had top to bottom amazing fights on the card. We had Alex Pereira knocking out Jamal Hill in round one. We had Max Holloway sending Justin Gaethje to the Shadow Realm. We had Yuri Prochazka getting it done as an underdog. We had Diego Lopez making a star-making performance. I could go on about this card. There is a stat going out right now that 17 out of the 24 fighters fighting on this card are coming off a loss. I could keep going. I could keep bitching how bad this card is, but are you really surprised? That's all I gotta say. Like, to the people that are continuing about this card, are you really surprised? I mean, there's been multiple examples of a bad fight night card coming off an amazing pay-per-view event. I feel like I've wasted enough time here. If you guys are wondering who I got for the early prelims, boom, this is who I got. And let's just waste no further time and break down this fight night card. Starting off with the opener of the main card, Diniz versus Uros. Pretty tricky fight to call in my opinion. I don't really rate Uros at all. To me, he seems like a small welterweight in this division, and I honestly don't think Diniz is a bad underdog in this fight. He is no slouch. However, he is getting a bit old, currently 40 years old, and is 1-3 his last 4. As much as I don't rate Uros as a contender, I do think he has the skill set to pick apart and beat Diniz in the duration of 3 rounds. So, the pick is Uros, and I think he gets it done via unanimous decision, 30-27. We move on to the next fight on the main card, Jonathan Pearce versus David Onama. You know, I've been seeing a lot of handicappers picking the underdog value of David Onama in this fight, and I don't really think it's a bad idea after all. After doing my research, I do think both guys are evenly matched wherever this fight goes, on the feet or on the ground. However, I do think Jonathan Pearce is no slouch whatsoever. He has undoubtedly fought the better competition. The experience is on his side, and he has a win over Christian Rodriguez. That win has aged quite nicely. All that being said, I am going to be going with Jonathan Pearce to get the win via close decision, possibly even split, 29-28. Moving on to the next fight on the main card, Diniz versus Austen Lane. Yeah, no-brainer pick here. High confidence pick. One of my locks on the card. I am going to be going with Diniz to absolutely dust up Austen Lane on the feet and get the win via brutal KO. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, Diniz is a world-class glory kickboxing champion. He clearly has a significant advantage on the feet, and that's where I see the majority of this fight taking place. Not much to say here. I honestly think Austen Lane is out of his element in this fight. His striking looked so off in his last performance where he got brutally KO'd by Justin Tafa. All that being said, I am going to be going with Diniz to get the win via brutal KO in round 1. We move on to the feature fight of the main card, Karine Silva versus Ariane Lipski. Another high confidence pick, another lock on the card. I am going to be going with Karine Silva to get the win via sub. I am very high on Silva as a prospect. 3-0 in the UFC, currently riding an 8-fight win streak, riding big momentum, and most of her wins are by submission. She's an absolute monster whenever the fight hits the mat, and whenever it does, it's basically over. No disrespect to Ariane Lipski, but I do see her being taken down and subbed by Silva. So, I am going to be going with Karine Silva to get the win via second round submission, rear naked choke. Moving on to the co-main event, Ryan Spann versus Bogdan Guskov. You know, not to sound like a broken record again, but I've been seeing a lot of handicappers picking Spann in this fight, and it's kind of left me confused a bit. Ryan Spann has been very disappointing in his recent performances, currently riding a 2-fight losing streak, 2-3 his last 5, and let's be honest, is a bit of a one-trick pony. He banks in on that KO shot, and whenever he does it, he crumbles as the fight goes on. And also, leading up to this fight week, Ryan Spann has done little to no tape study on his opponent. He could be lying, but I'm not taking the risk on that. I'm going to be going with the slight underdog value of Bogdan Guskov to get the win via second round KO. We move on to the main event. Matheus Nicolau versus Alex Perez. Gonna make this one real quick. This one is an easy one to predict. At one point, I was trying to convince myself to pick Alex Perez to get the win as an upset, but realistically, Matheus Nicolau should win this. Yes, he is coming off a KO loss to Brandon Royval, but in this matchup, he is undoubtedly the fresher fighter and is very technical wherever this fight goes. One thing to note, not ideal circumstances at all for Perez. He is currently riding a 3-fight losing skid and is taking this fight on pretty short notice. In my opinion, I'm expecting a very technical and boring performance from Matheus Nicolau, and I think he gets it done via unanimous decision. So, Matheus Nicolau is the pick, and I think he gets it done via unanimous decision, 49-46, maybe even a 48-47. All in all, absolutely killed it on the historic UFC 300. There was 13 amazing fights on the card, and I did way better than expected. So much so, while trying not to brag, for being a very small channel, I did way better than most successful MMA YouTubers. I did better than MMA Guru, than Weasel, Lucas Tracy, and even MMA experts. Overall, I went a total record of 10-3. In a betting standpoint, if you are a financial advisor, that comes out to 76%. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on my socials, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!